And we are live. And it's we this time because I'm not alone speaking into a microphone to a camera. I have lovely Francesca Bianchi with me. Good morning, Francesca.
Good morning. Actually, here it would be good afternoon, but
It's
thanks for
very
waking up so early for me.
it's so early here in California. But we're starting the Smell Tales series, and Francesca is the first one to grace us with her presence because it had to be this way. Because Francesca is the most welcoming person I met in the
Nah,
FragCom.
nah, come on.
You are. You are. If you're not, then you're acting really, really well, which I don't think you are. Francesca will be with us for an hour, during which time we will first give her a rapid fire question interview. A few questions that you answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Then we're going to go over the nosy questionnaire, which is something I usually like to distribute to perfumers because I do believe in meeting the person behind the fragrance and not just the fragrance as a representation of them. And then we're going to go into a deep dive. We're going to talk about what's coming up. We're going to talk about things that are unmentionable. We're going to talk about things that nobody else talks about. And of course, we have Jikuta to,
Yeah.
to help
I
us.
expect a very naughty question from the chicken. Yeah.
It's a very noisy chicken. For those of you who don't know the chicken, this is what actually made Francesca and I make contact in Firenze at Pitti, because this guy comes out every time something good is happening. He had a partner, a pig, who got decimated by raccoons in the backyard. We're going to leave him be. So right now, we only have this guy for good things. So let's start with the rapid fire. Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Francesca Bianchi, cara mia, are you a triangle or a square?
Oh, I already answered this question in the nosy questionnaire
Nope.
because I don't remember what I said. Triangle or a square? Well, let's say considering the meaning of these forms, I aspire to be a triangle, but I'm very much a square. So yeah, I mean, I'm very practical, down to earth person, and but I'm also idealistic. But this idealism of mine get killed by my square type. But I also see myself as a triangle. I would like to be more a triangle than a square. So
I think that's probably the most comprehensive answer I've ever gotten to this question.
thank you.
Okay. What do you take with your coffee? If you drink coffee.
I do drink coffee. I'm not a tea person, if that was the implicit question. And yeah, whatever I have, no, normally my regular routine was yogurt because I was in keto diet actually. But no, now I decided to stop with that, and so yeah, cookies, chocolate, chocolate, and chocolate. Yeah.
See, that's why everybody loves European living, because of that. You start your day well, you finish your day
Yeah.
well, and everything in between is how I miss that. All
You
right.
have to start the day very well with chocolate. That's what I think. Since like it's 45 years that I'm practicing this diet, so it's a very strict regime of chocolate in the morning.
It really works for you.
Yeah, it works. I think. Yeah.
All right. Do you set your toilet paper under or over?
Sorry, I haven't got it.
Toilet paper. Let's talk about toilet paper.
Oh,
First thing in the
toilet
morning.
paper.
Does it go under or does it go over?
I have to be honest with you. I never put the toilet paper in the place. I just put it there. Maybe because my boyfriend used a lot of it. So it's like it's pointless that you lose the time to put it in the thing because it will be gone in 1 day and a half. So I just put it there how it goes. But
Now,
it's a good question. I think it says a lot, but you know.
It's a great question for a perfumery interview. I mean, why not?
Yeah. It's crucial.
All right, here's another question. Do you agree there's a good grandma and a bad grandma? Nonna.
A good grammar
And a bad
and the
grandma.
bad grammar, like the mother of the mother, you mean, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, oh,
You don't have to
kind
ask the
of,
questions.
kind of, but yeah, no, totally. Totally. Now that I
Somehow.
think of it, I had never thought about this. Now, thanks for this new, perspective on the world, but it's totally true. It's
I don't
totally
know
true.
why it's true, but somehow it's true for
I don't
everybody.
know. There must be some scientific evidence to support this, for sure. But it's true.
All right, two more. Do you remember color or do you remember sound better?
I think both. I think I remember better both sounds and color rather than perfumes.
Really?
Yeah. Because no, maybe sounds no, maybe sounds less. But no, colors. I think I remember. I mean, yeah, I have a very good memory on the point of color. Like when you speak about a specific color, like the Tiffany green, that's a very specific green, or like the Proustian blue or whatever. I remember the specific color. So blue is not blue. It's just like there's thousands of blue, and I remember which blue I mean. I can figure it out in my mind. I can see it in my mind.
That's very interesting.
Whereas a perfume, I can describe it, but I don't have the physical sensation of it when I try to remind it. Whereas the color, if I close my eyes, I can depict it.
I found that a lot of perfumers have a heightened sense of memory with other senses as well. I don't know if it's synesthesia, if a lot of you maybe see things when you smell, or smell things when you see, or hear or feel touch. But it feels like there's a lot of more sensitivity. A higher percentage of you have extra sensitivities outside of the nose. You would think that it would compensate, that if the nose is very strong and if the olfactive memory is very strong, then the rest of the senses would not need to be as acute. But I found that, in fact, whoever has one sense that's very strong probably has other capacities to retain information, sensorial information coming from other senses. So
I think it makes totally sense, and I can also give you my explanation for that. Because, for instance, I don't know if you know that I studied history of art, and in Florence there's some very difficult examination that you do to it's not about colors, it's about style of artist. So you are supposed to recognize, seeing a painting, what the painter is, or at least tell what's the period or the context where the painting comes from. So you have to exercise your mind, because before the eyes, before the nose, you have the mind, of course, no? So, and it's about the mind being trained to find those details that you can't explain in words, like they are not explainable in concept, they are not philosophical context, they are not datas, but they are kind of things that you don't even want to explain in words, but you have to figure out how to keep them in your memory. So this is the experience I did in university for visual arts. So how to recognize a Picasso from a Braque, how to split a Picasso from a Braque in the Cubistic period. So it's it's little things that are difficult to explain, but it's a very, very visual thing. So this training, I think, helped me in the perfumer making, perfumes making, because I was already trained to find my own way to split one odor from another. I don't know if it makes sense.
It does make sense. I mean, I can see an El Greco in front of me. If I close my eyes, I can see a Caravaggio, I can see a Modigliani, I can see a Miro. You know, it's just you create a frame for attaching extra information on.
Yeah.
It's basically a taxonomy system that only belongs to you, that helps you separate the same information. It's the same color, but in two different buckets, or the same smell, or the same accord. It makes sense. I can't do with my nose what you guys do, but it makes sense from a conceptual perspective. All right, and this is the last quick question. Well, the other ones were quick, but it's unrelated, I guess. Just contextual. What do you think is the most overrated virtue today?
Okay. So the most overrated virtue, you said, no? Because I don't hear you. I didn't hear very well. There was some disturbance noise in the background. So it comes in my mind something. I was interviewed recently, and about this, I said, and I think I still believe it's to have an opinion no matter what. So I think with the internet, we live in the realm of opinion against the realm of knowledge. So it's all about opinion, and everybody feels compelled to express their opinion. But you're not forced to express an opinion. Sometimes you don't have an opinion, or a well-built opinion. So it's better to build up some knowledge before expressing an opinion, I think. But again, the internet is a little bit like this place where everyone has to express an opinion no matter what.
Well, the has to, I think, is very important. First of all, completely agree with you. Second of all, it's the has to part that is problematic, because opinion is something we have. If it has to come out, like when you go to the bathroom, it has to come out, then what's the difference between pouring it in the bathroom and pouring it on the internet? In my opinion, there is no difference. If it has to come out, then that's not an opinion. That's a need. That's a physiological / mental need, right? So it's a very interesting topic to follow. We're not going to do it today because it's immense. It has to do with behavior online. It has to be with alienation. It has to be with pandemic nowadays. It has to be with the state of affairs in every single country, the political state of affairs. People are nervous, people are fired up, people are polarized, and so on and so forth. So it has to do with a lot of things, but it's a very interesting point to keep in mind, particularly in this world of creating a picture out of a smell that most people don't get to smell until they buy it. So you and I are both part of the same bucket of subjects to this reality. We have to deal with it because it is what it is. I'm part of creating it, and I have opinions, and I put them out there. You are the subject of my opinions, and it all meets on the internet for people to comment on. So it's a very, very, very point to keep in mind. Speaking of other interviews, what's the most useless question you get asked, or redundant? Let's call it redundant.
I'm hearing a lot of noises. Sorry, Dana.
I'm hearing a lot of noises too. I think I don't know what it's from. It feels like somebody's touching a lot of. Is your phone moving?
No,
Maybe?
I'm not touching anything. Just let me take off the battery charger. Maybe it's the only. Maybe that was. Okay.
Yes.
Now it's okay.
All right.
My fault.
I was
hearing
asking.
again.
Really?
I'm hearing it again. It could be connected to your phone, to your microphone.
There's nothing touching anything here, and I can't hear it on the side.
I hear it when you speak. Anyhow, let's. The most important thing is that it doesn't like the viewer will not be bothered by that. Okay, so
We're gonna
eventually
edit
I will
it out.
have to repeat. Okay.
Sure. So my question was, given how the other interviews you've been invited to, what is the most redundant question that you get that you think you shouldn't get because it's not relevant to what your activity is today?
Well, it's difficult to say. I might offend many people.
You don't have to answer. You don't have to answer.
No, well, I think there's not a redundant question, but yes, it's a bit redundant. It's like I don't say. Sometimes I feel it's a bit redundant, but maybe when I start talking, I can add. Everybody can add information that can be meaningful. So. I feel like it's like a bit strange when people ask, what's the source of your inspiration? Because, inspiration is like, what's the source of creativity? And everyone who creates anything from music, from writing, the source is everything. It's can be emotion, can be some intellectual interest. It can really be everything. And so I feel a little bit annoyed just because I think, what do you want me to say? But then, if you ask me what's the source of your inspiration of this specific perfume, yeah, I can tell you because that's specific. But in general, I don't even know myself. It's something, sometimes I have ideas, but it's not that I have the whole composition in mind, like, the revelation of God. It's little steps, and then that intertwines with other things that has nothing to do with, and then something else come out, and then a higher meaning pops up, but it's all a mess, the mess of the creation. And it's a combination of chaos and the and your will to put organization in the chaos, and bring to the end to something in a large funnel, bring all this mess into something that has a meaning. Yeah.
Well, I think the conversation then moves into whether the meaning is set before creation starts or found at the end of the process. I think you already answered that because in your case, you bring all the elements that you do have. And you're right, birth is a freaky, messy, painful process. Any birth of any kind, creation of any kind is a messy process for most. And then to take different elements to kind of like try to put them together and find the connecting dots between them is what you say your process is. In that case, how much of this funnel is a result of chaotic creation and how much of it is a marketing imposition or a sourcing imposition? Because you create here, but then you have to connect it to the natural world and you create products for as long as you're selling them and they're not limited editions or they're not created specifically just so that you can express a creative thought, then they're products, right? As products, they're subject to the market, to the demand, to the pricing strategies of your competitors, to Ifra to whoever's on the market instilling some sort of force upon it, you are subject to it. All those conditionings are part of your funnel when you're creating a fragrance, or after you've created it and you're trying to congeal it, right? To pour it through the funnel.
To be honest, all these words you said, like marketing, competitor, price point, don't belong to my process. And I really I have fought to keep this distant to me, so the all market, to keep all the market needs distant to me. No, I will express this better. Okay, my boyfriend, he works in marketing. He works in business intelligence. So he was at the beginning of like when I launched my line, he was surrounded by people working in marketing and working in everything connected to business. But I really wanted to keep my brand as an emanation of myself. Okay, and so maybe we can see some marketing strategies, some like nowadays we are using Facebook ads, Google ads, but these are more like tools to make the brand be more known in some part of the world that doesn't know my brand. So but when I create a perfume, so that's just after. Now we have 10 perfumes, and okay, let's try to reach people in South America. Like a few people in South America know my brand, or like some other country. So we work on expanding. But that's just ex post. It's not. It doesn't interfere with my creation process. When I have an idea at the beginning, it's a mess. It's a messy idea. It's a lot of things. I have the idea is always there because it's the guide that helps me to arrive to a certain point. It's like I have to go from A to B. I have no clue how to go, but I know I want to arrive to B. So during this travel, I learn a lot of things. I bring new friends in the train, etc. So of course, I have no clue how the perfume will be exactly technically, but I know what I want to express with it. Okay, and the only I just try to keep in mind what I want to express. So every time I add something, I don't want that my perfumes are too cheesy, too pathetic, too crowd pleaser. So that's a thing that in the funnel. So I don't want that they are too easy, because I really like to create something challenging that intrigues you because it's challenging. And the other part of the funnel, I try not to be too much challenging. So I don't want to create something which is an intellectual game. So something just to say, oh, how funny is this perfume, but I would never wear it. So that's my funnel. So not too cheesy, not too, super sweet because everybody likes sweet. On the other hand, so challenging enough, but not like an intellectual game. Something that okay, it's interesting, but I don't want to wear it. I want to create something that gives you emotion, that stimulates you intellectually, but that you really enjoy also wearing. That's my only funnel. And so when I create something, I don't take care of what's the most fashionable notes out there. This year, just by chance, I didn't know that so many patchouli came out. And that was really coincidental. I was even considering not to publish the sticky fingers, which is patchouli based, because I saw so many patchouli out. And but yeah, I'm happy it went out anyhow. And another thing, I like that my perfumes are unisex or genderless or whatever you like, but that they are not exclusively feminine or exclusively masculine.
Do you do you
I
think
like
there are fragrances that are exclusively masculine and exclusively feminine? Do you see this
well,
distinction?
yeah, like I'm when I say it's masculine and feminine, I refer to the taste, the Western taste of nowadays. So
Mhm.
nowadays, Coco Mademoiselle, it's more suitable for a woman because culturally we are, we tend to think so. Of course, I would recommend a man to wear Mitsuko or Shalimar. I have a collection of vintage, and I would mix up the sexes, but I mean like the general public idea is like a macho, more macho fragrance or a more feminine floral. It's more feminine. So I try to avoid those cliches and keep me a little bit out of it. Of course, I can't avoid to use vanilla or some sweet or some harsh notes, but
But do you think
I
you
have to
need
be
to? Because
consistent
your
then.
audience, do you think you need to to make a point out of avoiding stuff? Your audience is not the kind of audience that would care what says on the label.
Well, in the end, a little bit so. I mean, it's true that in general, my audience is someone who is already educated in the niche world, in the
Mhm.
niche perfumery world. But consider something funny that I'm telling you. One of my least sold perfumes, you know what it is? It's angel's dust.
No way.
It
That's
is,
so
which is
surprising.
also like the 4 star. I got 4 star from Luca Turin, so it's also in the guide. So it
Huh.
was supposed to be my best seller because of better review. Angel's Dust has also the best review, the best rating in Fragrantica,
Hmm.
whatever the count, of course. But it's just the general temperature of people. Like Angel's Dust is the one that pleases the most. But my best seller is, strangely enough, Sex and the Sea, which has the worst reviews in
Reviews.
Fragrantica.
That's
And
interesting.
it also got 2 stars from Luca Turin. But apart from this, that tells a lot about opinions, and it's like, okay. When I realized that, I said, yeah, okay. So people express opinions, but then opinions doesn't really goes together with the sales data. And getting to the previous question, one reason why I think that Angel's Dust sells less because it really has always good reviews. Whereas Under My Skin is very much loved by someone, but is like unapproachable by somebody
Mhm.
else. Angel's Dust is a perfume that everybody says, well, it's a nice perfume. Nobody would say I don't like it because it's pleasant. But I think that it is so prominently feminine.
You think
So in
that's
the end,
hmm,
only women are buying that.
really?
Whereas the
I
others, which are more unisex, they are bought by men and women.
I personally love Angel's Dust. I think it's very well constructed, and I think it's one of the fragrances that have a turn in your collection. All of your fragrances have a pretty long evolution on me. They change quite a bit,
Yeah.
which I like because it's exciting. Um, I think Angel's Dust has the most dramatic change. I actually did a write up of it a couple of weeks ago. I didn't publish it, but it's written. And one of the things that I came to mind was that it's okay, it's angelic and it's ethereal and powdery and textural and fluffy and whatever you think of, but it's funk. It's after the angel is gone. It's like at the end of the party, sparkles and sprinkles. She's no
After the
longer a
angel's
virgin,
gone. Can I
huh?
write this after the angel's gone? Because I'm I'm
I can
looking for
share
a
it with you.
title. I'm looking for a
I can share with
title.
you. It feels like the end of a funk party. The angel's not an angel anymore, kind of a thing. And it's a twist. It's a turn. There's some bitterness. Is there mimosa in there or
Yeah,
something similar to mimosa? So
a lot.
there's there's the twist. I feel like it changes more dramatically in a different direction than the other ones. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I don't know. It's just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
Thanks
was my
for
personal
for
impression.
this interpretation. I'd like if you can share it with me. I would really like it.
Sure, absolutely. We can discuss a lot of your fragrances because because I've been busy with them for a long time, actually, and we'll get there. But before I forget, I want to ask you. You mentioned the year of the patchouli. Where do you think that's coming from? Why
Sorry, you
are there?
mentioned the Era Patchouli.
Yeah,
I have no clue. I really have no clue. And as for me personally, patchouli before sticky fingers was an ingredient that I didn't really know, or it was not, in my, it was not even in my collection. So just recently, I started to buy some patchouli fragrances to study more. Not that I disliked it, but when something is not um, at the center of
not
your
your color,
attention, uh, huh? Yeah,
not your
and
color.
yeah, exactly. And out of the blue, I not out of the blue. That at a certain time, a certain moment, I. mm, I wanted to study more. I always used patchouli as a facet, like just 1% on the formula, because I like it. But as a fragrance based on patchouli, um, I wasn't ready for that. So it just happened. But there's nothing that I can tell you, oh, it happened for this reason. I just started studying and I got mesmerized. I really liked it. And I don't know if you have smelled the sticky fingers. Yeah, I sent you a sample of that. Cool, perfect. So I wanted to create a patchouli, a big patchouli, but without the harshness of the whole patchouli. So I used a fragmented or purified patchouli. So I could use a lot of patchouli, but without the too much, without too many rooty part. Okay, so those dirtiness that you detect comes from other ingredients like tobacco, for instance, tobacco
Mhm.
leaves, and yeah,
I mean,
and
there are a
that's
lot of
it.
animalics in here and tonka
Yeah,
or
there are also animalic
tonka
notes.
like.
Yeah, no, not tonka. I use the
Hmm.
real tonka bean and real patchouli. I used a lot of natural ingredients. Let me get to the formula because I don't remember what. I have a really short memory. If you want to talk about it, or we can. But yeah,
Well, I expected more saltiness to be honest from this.
okay,
When I put it on, it was uh sticky, but almost like
yeah,
saliva sticky. Like it took me in a different kind of cold resin LME stickiness. Then I kept testing it and I started getting the a powderiness from the patchouli, which I hadn't felt before. And then it was very hot in California, and then we had fires, and it was very smoky. So the air was very charged. We got very tired because, breathing that for 3 weeks, it's just not good time.
It's so terrible. I have the shivers now that you are telling this. I'm so sorry.
It's been very bad. So I think everything affected the way things behaved. By the third or fourth testing, my completely untrained nose started picking up layers like in a book. The first time I tested it was monolithical. It was very big. I couldn't read anything. Yeah. Now, because I've retested, it feels like layers, and there are a lot of them. I finally got into the animalic. That's not sticky saliva. It's more like hay, kumaric something, maybe some fur notes. The tonka, there's what's the difference between the patchouli that you said you used and what normally is used as a patchouli application?
Well, I can tell what I use, but I have no clue what other perfumers are using, because there are so many different grades of purification of patchouli, and so it depends on which grade of purification you are using. So, for instance, from my supplier, I have 3 types of patchouli. They call it patchouli brut, so the whole patchouli, and then patchouli light, and then patchouli heart. And from the first to the third, you have different grade of purification. So the light that I use is very light, is very creamy, is very soft. But if you use a lot of it, you get the sense of patchouli. So I prefer to use a lot of patchouli light rather than the whole patchouli, because it was too harsh for what I wanted to represent. So I really wanted something not the hippie patchouli, but something more elegant. So the patchouli and iris together.
But it is, see, it's interesting you mention that, because everything is coming back, right? And last year it was the 80s and the mom jeans. I'm very happy for that part. all these things coming back. The 70s are coming back. It is the era of the patchouli. So maybe it is that the perfumery is following up on fashion trends, unconsciously or intentionally, we don't know. But it is a welcome trend, because I do believe they go together, because we learn to think about them this way. When you think back, you think, this is what it looked like, this is what they smelled like, this is what they voted for, right? It's kind of like, this is where the world was at that time. It kind of makes sense that you take something that already has representation and you make it better, or you adapt it to today. You said it wasn't intentional, but maybe there is something in the human energy that makes us all kind of behave the same way at the same time. Maybe it's us looking for some comfort.
But it's absolutely. I absolutely. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, maybe we're all collectively, universally, all over the world looking for some comfort, so we're referring back to times that were easier and sparklier. I don't know. Maybe patchouli is comforting physically, and because we've been isolated and scared and whatever, we're all searching for stuff that we already know that can provide some sort of therapy, olfactive therapy. I don't know. I'm not going to call it aromatherapy, because I have no idea if patchouli has any effect or role in aromatherapy. But olfactive,
I don't think so.
It's an interesting direction, and it's very fascinating to witness. This patchouli to me seems very clarified, like clarified butter. Like there's no you know how in olive oil you can see deposits if it's virgin olive oil, just coldly pressed. This feels like it's clarified, like it doesn't have any deposits. It's like crystalline, almost almondy, if that makes any sense to you. That's what it smells
It
like
totally does.
on
It
my
totally does
skin.
because I know what's inside. So you have,
Oh,
I use that. So almondy is a good definition because I use some heliotropin in it, and
okay.
heliotropin has an almondy facet. So that's a good definition.
Let's talk a bit about function, because again, it is a creative art. But apart from dropping panties, let's talk about what you see to be the function of fragrance today in your world with your audience. Okay, because we can't talk
Yeah.
about the rest of the world without making distinctions between Western expectations and non-Western expectations. We can't make references without going niche and non-niche and so on and so forth. So let's talk about your audience and your people, your village. Okay, what function do you think your fragrances cover for them?
Yeah. So that's a good question, and I recently got a kind of a private workshop from my boyfriend regarding what's the mission of my company, what's the vision, what are the values, etc. So I made clear to myself what's the function. I mean, what I really want to do with my perfumes. So basically, it came out during the workshop that perfumes are just a way, could be another way, but a way to express myself and to create something that raises emotions. So all the collection of keywords of things that I like, of things that have had meaning in my life from my childhood until today. Emotions is the key word. So for me, creating a perfume is a way to create an emotion machine. Okay, so one part, of course, is the creation. One part, so is my need to express myself during the creation, and one other part is my relationship with the word. So what I want to deliver to people, why I want that people reminds about me. So what I really want is that people feel good when they smell my fragrance. They can soothe a pain. They can feel better. They feel at ease with themselves. So, and I'm not saying something randomly or like rhetorically. I'm using words that people has written in mails to me. And every time I receive mails like that, like people that you can tell or they tell you that they are in pain for anything because of the lockdown, depression, or because they lost someone or whatever, and they thank me because they feel good just by sniffing the perfume. That's all. I mean, what else can I ask? Mission accomplished. So it's that's the highest reward, and so that's I realized, and then I started to receive these mails, but then I went back to my notes before launching the line, and I found that also at the beginning, my obsession was emotions, feelings, humanity. So connection with your humanity, connection with your feelings. Yeah, that's it.
When I asked you to describe your brand or your work, your best work, which is your work, in 3 words, you said in this order: intimate, mystical, and complex.
Yeah.
Does it still represent?
Yes. Intimate still is very much because for what I just said, because it has to, like a perfume has to be kind of a device that helps you to get inside yourself. So it's not just intimate because it's sensual, because many people, they stress the word sensual. They are sensual, of course, but they are as a result of the fact that they are intimate. What the complex and the mystical. Mystical, they are my research is mystical, but not in a religious sense, but more, for the fact that the work per se is kind of mystical, is absolutely solitary, is kind of meditation on a facet of a molecule. It has almost a ritualistic meaning, the creation of a perfume. Complex, of course, I like complexity. Although I say that I like simplicity, I end up being complex, searching for something contrasting. And I really love when the texture is complex, is rich, when you can find a lot of details in the complexity of a perfume. So yeah, still today.
To me, it was interesting what you said in the beginning, because intimate can mean a lot of things, but nobody's expressed the intention of turning things inwards. I mean, in nature, any sort of smell we emanate, from insects to mammals, right? It's outwards to tell something to others who've been there, right? That's why dogs pee on trees. That's why insects create stink, and so on and so forth. It's very seldom, actually, it's the first time I hear an intention to turn things inward that have to do with sharing a product. Usually the same type of intentions are declared in a more mystical fashion when it comes to meditation, when it comes to aiding, certain personal processes. But I've never heard a perfumer say that. And it's very interesting, anti-trend, if you want, because lately it feels like something you also mentioned. When people put on fragrances, they become intimate because they're sensual. They're not intimate because you simply can only smell them from here. In fact, the trend is to put more and more so you can smell people from further and further away, right? Like, so to fill a room with sensuality and intimacy, or to leave a trail, or to be a beast, intimate beast, and so on and so forth. It's very rare to hear somebody going, okay, that's fine, but it's not what I have in mind. I'm not designing to project out.
If I can express more, is like, of course, a perfume is something that you like that other people smell too. But the first step of becoming also attractive to other people is that you are in peace with yourself, is that you are confident with yourself. And the best way to be confident is that you are in peaceful connection with yourself. You are you're okay with your physicality, you're okay with your body odor. And after you have gained, won this connection with yourself, you will fill a room with your, sexiness or your attitude, because you are confident.
Mhm.
So it's and that's the formula, in my opinion. It's not that if you are a weak person, or you will be charming just spraying a perfume on yourself. That doesn't work like that. So you have to be a real person and an achieved person to be charming. that's, that's how I think like charming people are.
I agree with that. I also can't stop but thinking that most of the best fragrances and perfumers um, that we know, we as public, as consumers, I'm talking about my side of the pond, right? Have a very specific vision, have a very specific way of manifesting that vision, and we get to enjoy the product of that, the results of that. I can't help but be worried about the fact that there's a larger and larger disconnect between people who haven't accessed niche, whatever niche is today,
Yeah.
and people who are more literate when it comes to olfaction and smell. Because it's like reading. The more you read, the more you know, the more you know, the more you want to know, and the more context you have, and the easier it is to understand the next thing that's unknown, and so on and so forth. I feel it's the same with languages, it's the same with smell, it's the same with a lot of things that our brain learns to process as a different language, right? Um, Whereas in the beginning, mainstream perfumery was still great, and then niche
Absolutely.
started going like this,
Yeah.
only creatively, not necessarily quality style. Now it feels like they're very far apart, with gradations
Yeah.
in between, but they're really far apart. And it feels like harder and harder for people who are not initiated to get to the point where they can enjoy, or they're seeking to enjoy, the kind of art you put out. How can we bridge the gap? Who's responsible with teaching, with showing, with
I have no clue. I have no clue. I'm also very sad about the situation that you just described, and I agree on every word you said. And I really feel desperate when I see how distant are the word, like the niche, artisanal, independent, however you want to call it, like the more creative wave of perfumery and the commercial one.
Mhm.
Sometimes I try to enter in a commercial perfumery just to say, hey, maybe it's just me that I'm too snob. Maybe there might be some good perfumes, and I'm always so disappointed.
Mhm.
And I can't understand how people want to buy fragrances that are the copycat of the previous ones. They look all so much the same. And all the new things coming up, there's nothing new. And sometimes I'm also sad because the big brands, we are not making names, okay? Big
Mhm.
brands that have the money, they have the money, they have the creative people, they have the resources to put up a campaign and say, hey guys, stop with the bullshit, and now you have to buy this, and come up with something astonishingly new. You have many good perfumers around, I mean,
Mhm.
in the big groups, so we don't miss anything. Everything is there. We just need some good artistic directors which are up to invest some money and bringing to the bigger public, you know. something which is really new and not just the same things over and over. I don't understand why they don't do that. They're trying to do that, like, but they just put it in the exclusive line, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and not all the brands, they have good stuff in the exclusive lines. Some of them they have, but still it feels like very separate from the commercial offering. Yeah.
It's a big gap, and it's not going to close by itself. It's the same with television content, right? Everybody's saying, "What is this crap that you put on TV? All tits and butts and bad jokes and what it, you know." Same with music. It's the same with a lot of things. People who are somewhat further along their learning path become intellectual snobs or artistic snobs, and you know they're fine consuming niche content, whatever that is, niche content, niche products, and there's nobody addressing the gap. People can't learn if they're not being taught.
Yeah.
But
It's true.
whose job is it to teach it? Because you guys are busy, you guys are small businesses, you guys are struggling to survive, and you're already there. You don't need to teach anybody, and you don't have time, and you don't have resources, like you said. Big brands won't do it because it's easier to keep pushing, you know, tits and stuff on the screen. I'm sorry, this is not proper podcast language, but that's the truth, you know. So how do we do it? So that's a homework, that's a thinking
Yeah, that's a
thing for
homework, but
you. It's homework.
it's also true that as for many other things, like for
Yeah.
you know, individuals should also get information. Again, we are in the age of internet.
Mhm.
If you are into something, like if you are into perfumes, and you really want to learn more, there's a lot of instruments, even for free. And so, yeah, maybe we can say that in schools we don't have any kind of even remote, you know, olfactory education. That's one thing. Like olfactory education is not existing, and also and then I don't mean like how to become a perfumer. That's another story, because I don't want that everyone becomes a perfumer, but I really think that everyone should have like a minimum of olfactory education. Also
Mhm.
knowing the history of perfumery. Also, as we know, history of art. We study history of art. We study literature. We study,
Music.
you know, history of music. So, yeah. Well, speaking about music, there's also a big missing. We are missing also history of music in schools. So that's also another form of art, which is not you know, not for everyone. I mean, like classical music, operas, and you know, all the stuff. But again, like you know. It's all very easy to reach, so also people could be more proactive
Mhm.
by themselves.
Here's one last one. I just realized we've been talking for an hour. um, what do you think is next? What's next for independent perfumers? Do you think this pandemic and being isolated, the fact that people have changed their consumer behaviors, the fact that sourcing is probably going to be different now, all these things combined after this mess of a year, 2020 has been really bad or interesting. What do you think is next? What's the next phase? What's in store for you
Look,
all?
I don't know, but I hope there will be a vaccine very soon, and things might get back not to normal, because things will never get back to normal. in
Correct.
general for the world, no? Because we have learned
Yeah.
stuff. We have learned things that can make our life better. For instance, smart working, especially here in Holland, or I also read in the United States,
Mhm.
there has been a like large reorganization of companies, and it's very unlikely that people will be back going to work, in the regular 9 to 5 routine in the office, because we have seen that the people are working better, even better at home, like apart from having kids around, no. Like we can focus more without being interrupted, etc. I mean, I speak for the other people, not for myself, because I used to work alone even before, so for me life hasn't changed so much. But apart from this, which is a general thing, I have seen during during the lockdowns, to be more in touch with other perfumers, like independent perfumers, and I really hope we could be like more together. As I said at the very beginning, when you said the funnel is your company is about marketing, or what the competitors do. What I wanted to say, I never use the word competitor, because all other brands are different products than mine. I mean, a competitor is someone who is offering the same thing that you offer at maybe a different price. So you have, those are competitors for me. But every other independent perfumer is someone who expresses himself or herself differently from mine. So for me, they are not competitors. They are just
Mhm.
other friends who are doing the same job that I do, and that maybe, if in case they have the same mindset that I have, and they don't have the competitive mindset, we can share information, we can share knowledge, we can help each other. And this happened more and more during the lockdown, because maybe you have more time to talk or to connect to people, and even like not special questions, but like also logistic questions, or like do
Mhm.
you know this retailer, or do you know this distributor, is this person reliable, where do you buy sandalwood, or like
Right.
whatever. And I really like this, and maybe we should work to make this a little bit more organized, because I'm okay to share my knowledge, not like open source, because
Right.
my knowledge is the result of a real hard study. But I'm really happy to share it with other people, like they're really doing my job, and they're not just people losing their time, and people who can share other part of their knowledge, so we can help each other this way.
So
So I think
collaborations.
that's, yeah, collaboration in like sharing knowledge, sharing information, and helping each other. Yeah, things like that.
What's in store for you? What's
In
next for
store,
you? Which
what's
store?
that next?
What's next for you? Yes. What is it? What are you working on?
Uh, so that's the first.
I
You are
know
the
that
first
look.
person I told this. So I have already sent in production my new release, which I think might be ready by end October,
Mm.
beginning of November. And I'm still considering a name.
One second. So this interview will go live on the LKNU platform this week. It's not just me
Okay.
knowing at this point. If you let it out, it's not going to be just me knowing. It's going to be pretty much everybody. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah, we can keep this part because I'm not saying anything more. Like I'm
Okay.
not saying any notes. I'm not saying,
Okay.
but I have already informed. I have already informed by my retailers that I have something new, cooking, boiling home, so we
Okay.
can keep this.
Okay. Good.
If you want to, okay.
You can say
But I'm not
as
gonna
you
add
can
any
imagine.
other information.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was going to say, I'll take any and all the information you want to give me, but I wanted to make sure that you know this is going live and it's not just me.
Yes.
So don't
No,
say
no,
it if you
thanks
don't
for
want it out.
stressing this out. I know that this is going to be live, but as I said, well, it's just there must be a first time when I say, hey, there might be something new. This is the first time. Okay. But I'm not saying anything more because the name the name is still I have always used the name, and I'm not sure 100% about it, so I'm not saying the name now.
Okay. All right, Francesca. Here's the last question. just to make sure. What is the question that you wish you got in an interview and you never get? Here.
Dana, sorry, I lost you. Which is the question?
What is the question that you wish to be asked in an interview and you never get asked?
Okay. Okay. Oh, I don't know. Oh, shit, I haven't thought about that.
Well, that's a good sign. That means you don't have to. You didn't have to think about it.
No, I really. I mean, when someone interviews me, I'm just excited about the question. So I don't have I wish I could say this or that, because if I have something to say, I will find a way to say it. Okay, no
I
matter
can
the
see
task.
that.
So
Thank you, my dear. This was
I will
Francesca
try to
Bianchi.
fit the question. Yeah. So no, I don't have anything. I'm happy with any interview, and I'm always happy to have a good chat with intelligent people, prepared people, and beautiful people like you are.
Me. Oh, you're talking about me. Thank you for this interview, my dear. It was a pleasure, and it's been long in the works. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Oh my God. Thank you, Francesca. And I will be back with you in private very soon.
All right. Okay.
Have a good day, everyone.
Good day. Bye. Thanks for listening.
Bye.